Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Every summer of mine is a white boy summer.
Right. That's true.
I don't really have the ability to have a different summer.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
But this is like the white boy summer, apparently.
Is it?
That's what we've been told.
That's what Chet Hanks is telling us.
Yeah. That's
maybe it's true.
Something.
I don't know. Who am I?
Look, that's us. He's talking about us.
Yeah.
So
he was speaking directly to me. Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched You Only Live Twice.
You only live twice?
Yeah, apparently. It's a bummer.
Well, you only live twice.
Welcome, Honorable 007. He's the one and only Sean Connery.
Welcome to Japan, Mr. Bond.
This is one of them James Bonds.
It is.
Tom,
it is one of them
this
James
is-
Bonds.
A big thank you to Harris, our Patreon subscriber, who is producing this episode of We Just Watched. Harris wanted us to watch this James Bond movie. That is this one of the classic ones?
I mean, it's one of the Sean Connery ones. What do you mean?
I guess, okay. I'm not very, I haven't watched a lot of old James Bonds. And so I assume there's ones that stand out more than others. There's so many. You know?
There's a lot. This one is notable. This one is kind of more infamous. It's
That's a good word for what I saw.
For a couple of reasons. One is that this was the last one that Sean Connery did before essentially walking out of the Bond role. He left the role because he was kind of. There's been books written about this. Other people do much better podcasts that are just about the James Bond movies. But basically, there was a big fight between the producers over money. They weren't really paying Sean Connery much. This was kind of before. This was a new idea at the time. You understand, like an ongoing series of the same actor playing the same character in like this huge multi-film franchise. This hadn't really been done before.
I'm just imagining them putting him in Asian face and him standing there like, I should get paid more for this.
Well, we're going to talk about that because
we're going to talk about that.
One of the. So, yeah, okay, so there's the first reason it's infamous is because this is the last one Sean Connery did, and then right after this one, they brought in George Lazenby for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, who famously only did one James Bond movie because he was so bad at it.
Right. So you know more James Bond.
No, I grew up watching the Sean Connery ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know, because I've seen this movie before, but I totally forgot it.
Oh, same. There's only a couple. Like, this isn't one that you like. When you asked earlier if this is a classic, this isn't one like Goldfinger that you like remember.
Okay. I don't.
Or like,
right.
I mean, like GoldenEye, maybe. Like everybody our age knows GoldenEye, right? Like everybody's seen that
right.
movie. You're a little fuzzier on Die Another Day.
Right, exactly. I guess I know a lot of people who I respect who know the old James Bond and like them, right?
Yeah.
I have watched enough at this point that I realize that I don't think these are very good. I mean, they're entertaining enough to watch, but they're fucking dumb.
Yes, they're incredibly stupid.
Okay, yeah. And I think there's a lot of nostalgia for them. Yes. I guess I wanted to you have that. You grew up with these movies. I didn't grow up with these movies at all. So I have, I guess, a more cynical probably view of these.
Probably
because I don't have any fuzzy memories like about them.
Mm-hmm.
So this Man with the Golden Gun I remember because that's the guy with the third nipple, right?
Maybe that's the one with Christopher Lee and Roger Moore.
Yeah, doesn't he have a third nipple?
I think maybe. I can't remember.
So that's another one that isn't that infamous or isn't that famous or well known.
No, that one's extremely well known. I just personally haven't seen that one that often. I think I've only seen it twice.
Okay. This is okay. So is this the introduction of Blofeld? Is that what we're seeing?
This
here?
is the first time you see Blofeld's face.
Got it.
He's been like teased like Dr. Claw in previous movies.
Right. What did you think of this movie?
This movie is fine. Like this movie is, you can feel a little bit that it's running out of steam at this point, but like as a Bond movie and specifically as a Connery Bond movie, this is pretty standard.
Okay.
Like there's a little more action in this one than in some of the earlier ones. Like,
really?
Yeah, no, I have fonder. It's interesting. I have fonder memories of like Dr. No and Goldfinger, which are two like really early Bond movies.
Right.
But those two movies are very slow.
Huh.
This movie has more shit happening, and is also consequently more bonkers. Although Goldfinger does have a character who looks Sean Connery dead in the face and tells him, "My name is Pussy Galore."
Right. Right.
This movie doesn't really have that.
But it does have a hell of a first line for James Bond.
I forget what he says. He's laying in bed.
And he says, why do Chinese girls taste different than all other girls?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay.
So what are we talking about?
Here we fucking go.
Dave, screenplay by Roald Dahl.
Oh, Christ.
Did you notice that?
No, I didn't. I didn't notice that.
In the 3-minute opening credit sequence, did you notice the screenplay by credit is fucking Charlie and the Chocolate Factory Roald Dahl?
This feels like this is the movie that Mike Myers realized I have to make Austin Powers. They even reference a line in this movie in Austin Powers. In Japan, men come first, women come second. Mm-hmm. This is a deeply misogynist film, but like I'm not shocking anybody by saying that.
All of James Bond. Also, I'm sure you'll find if you watch more, particularly from this era, from like the Bond, Roger Moore era, you're going to find a ton of things that are spoofed specifically in Austin Powers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's just kind of riffing on the whole genre. Listen, like in like Flint.
Okay, yeah.
Whole ass genre back then. There's
just something so quaint about this, where you mentioned it's the most action packed. I find that very funny because when is this? Is this 70s or 60s?
67.
It's such quaint action. It's like, he jumped off. He jumped off this side of this thing and he falls into a padded box. Like those are the stunts, and it gets kind of crazy at the end.
I was about to say that Act 3 like Doom base invasion. I was like, man, things are really going off in this part of the film.
But there's like a weird
and they do drop a car from a helicopter into the Pacific Ocean.
They do. That was very funny.
That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that felt like cheating. She just calls in a helicopter to just pick these assholes up. There's just something. It's not even that. It's like the fucking helicopter scene is hilarious because he gets in this tiny little helicopter.
Yes,
and he's got this little brimmed cap, and it's stuff like that where like whenever they introduce like gadgets, it's just so fucking funny looking.
That's an issue with like every Bond film. The gadgets seem to only exist to be used immediately. In most cases, like you'll have Q show up, he'll explain exactly how something works, and for the most part, Bond will use every single gadget within the next 2 scenes, and he'll save one until the climax.
Such as the cigarette.
Right. He'll save it for long enough that you almost forget about it, and then he'll whip it out. And you're like, oh, that's right, he had that other gadget. And that's like clockwork. Every Bond movie is like that.
I was going to say even the later ones, even like GoldenEye with the pen
grenade in GoldenEye, yep.
Yeah, I do feel like the Daniel Craig one slowly got rid of that, but honestly, that's not a bad game to play. I don't mind that.
No, I don't. The games of James Bond work on me, although I am aware of them. Like I don't go into these movies like, oh no, that's fine. That's just because this is the way movies were back then. Like I definitely see all this shit, and it does. Like I recognize how quaint and dated this all is.
Well, I think any fan of Bond recognizes that the helicopter scene is dumb.
I hope so, man. I hope they're so fucking Zack Snyder-esque fans of these old James Bond movies, because holy shit.
This barrel-chested Sean Connery in a fucking weird helicopter with a brimmed cap. No one's looking at that and being like, yeah, that's cool.
Right, that looks like... Right, they show a couple of shots of people on the ground, look at him flying this little helicopter, and they're all thinking some rich dickhead tourist has just bought that. That's the kind of thing that Harrison Ford crashes on the Santa Monica golf course.
Right. So I want to talk about how this movie opens, because I don't know if it's if you're used to Bond films, if this is a common thing. This starts with a space kidnapping, which is by far the funniest thing I've seen in a movie in a long time. The concept of kidnapping an astronaut in space is very funny to me. I don't know why. I think it's just because that's not where astronauts expect to get kidnapped.
And indeed, it's where no one expects to be kidnapped.
And this fucking ship slowly comes towards them.
Very slowly.
For enough time for them to be like, what is that? What's going on? What's going to happen? Oh, God, it's coming closer. They talk it out. And it just opens up and eats their ship.
Yep.
It just kidnaps their asses. That is very funny.
It is extremely funny, yeah.
Yeah, that's the plot of this, is someone is kidnapping astronauts.
Yeah.
And it happens twice. And then the third time, NASA is still bringing people into space. And it was like, hey, NASA, you might want to cancel some launches.
Yeah.
Somebody's kidnapping your people.
There's some fucking moon men running around up there snatching people.
It's really funny. And then it's followed by James Bond making out with a lady in bed. He says, why do Chinese girls taste different than other girls? And then immediately gets murdered.
Yeah.
And, it's the beginning, so he fakes the death. And I want to talk about faking the death, too.
Yes.
Why?
I think because it was sort of like a Wrath of Khan thing where fans had caught wind that Sean Connery was thinking about leaving.
Okay.
So they were playing with the idea that some people were going into this movie like, oh man, are they going to kill James Bond? I heard they might kill James Bond because Sean Connery doesn't want to do anymore, and then they kill him right away. And
that's fun.
And the same thing happens in Wrath of Khan, except in Wrath of Khan it turns out to be a training mission, and Spock was only pretending to be dead, and then of course he dies for real at the end. And in this movie, it's like, oh, he faked his death. It's like, well, yeah, we have a whole movie to go.
Yeah. In this one, the faking the death is the funniest fucking thing. For the first half of this movie, I don't think Bond is only flung places. Does that make sense? He's going down slides and getting fired at.
Getting shot out of a torpedo tube.
Yeah, everything is. But so he fakes his death by getting murdered in the scene, fake murdered. They do a burial at sea. Where they wrap him up and they dump him. A bunch of scuba guys retrieve the body and put him in a submarine. The submarine fires him to Japan, where he then immediately takes no disguise and drives around in a convertible. And I guess my question is, why do any of that? Because when Blofeld and folks find out he's still alive, one of them says, no, he's dead. I read it in the papers. And it occurs to me, why not just put out the news story? Why do the fake funeral? Because isn't that the Navy burying him at sea and then the Navy retrieving him? So who is that funeral for?
Enemy agents who might be watching.
Okay.
There's no reason why he needed to be in the casket.
Yeah.
But I get why staging the funeral and stuff is because we quite literally are shown that there are bad people watching with binoculars.
Okay,
but it doesn't make sense why why would you put him in the casket? Just
right, because
he'd be in the Pentagon or something. He'd be back at base in MI6 or some shit.
Right, and then just fly him to Japan. I don't know. It's this is how Bond works. I'm sure all the other Bonds are like this.
Yeah, it operates on the same kind of logic.
Yeah, the logic is like, let's save time. Like, we got to get you to Japan, Bond, but we also have to fake your death. Why don't we just combine the two and fire you out of a submarine?
It's efficient.
It's.
Listen,
yeah, I guess
this motherfucker wrote the BFG. Like, he knows how to get from scene to scene, baby.
Yeah. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, no, this movie is out of its mind.
Yeah.
We're like 8 minutes into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like astronauts have been kidnapped and
One of them
Sean
just got
Connery
cut
is
loose.
fired out of a submarine. Yes, that's the funniest fucking part. Because it closes and it clips his
lifeline, he
tube.
just floats away.
Yeah.
It's like the last, I don't know, until his oxygen ran out, he's just floating away watching what he must think is an alien spacecraft.
Surely. Yeah.
Stealing his partner.
Yeah.
And
Thinking like
their
that is
shuttle.
We did not have a plan for this.
Yeah, no, nothing in the NASA training.
Yeah.
Prepared for a mid-space kidnapping.
That is so fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
So Bond has to go to Japan to get to the bottom of the the kidnapped astronauts. Right,
yeah, they track the rocket, but they can't quite figure out where it landed, so they think it could possibly be this. The Americans are hell-bent on believing it's the Soviet Union.
Right.
And then MI6 is like, well, it could be Japan. So they send Bond to Japan.
That's the other funny thing about Blofeld's plan is that, like, yeah, surely you can't just fire a rocket into space and then land the rocket without people figuring out whereabouts that's happening, right?
Maybe. This is 1967.
I was about to say, in like the 60s, maybe that actually is a problem.
You could get away with a lot of crimes back then.
Especially space crimes.
Definitely, nobody's
space.
Watching that.
It'd be amazing if they robbed them.
Right. How many? Yeah, they just stick them up. Like, they take the astronauts' wallets.
Yeah.
Like somehow their space capsule is up on blocks.
Right.
No, it's... There's not really that many people watching what's happening in space. Yeah. Certainly not at this. I mean, this is 2 years before the moon landing, right? So, like... Not too many countries have a space program at this time.
God, these fuckers are so old. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this is an old-ass movie, man.
This really is. Man, so he goes to Japan. He sleeps with more people. There's that weird-ass scene. So he goes down that guy's slide.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right. I mean, is Bond just go through doors, man. This is so weird. The guy welcomes into his place and he says, consider my house yours, including my possessions, to which several women walk out, which was, a real bummer. And then they take business baths.
Yeah.
Where they're getting massaged by naked. Are they going to come in the same room? I
think they'll probably go to different rooms.
Different rooms?
Before they bust that nut.
Yeah, it's such a weird, what kind of fucking weirdo does this?
I don't know, man.
Is there's a spy coming to my place. I'm going to make this a real, weird fuck house for him. I don't know. These are some creepy motherfuckers.
Sure.
Is my point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so shockingly casual. I don't know. I have no other observations. Just weird shock from how casual it is.
Mm-hmm.
That they just he's just you want to have sex, right, Mr. Bond? That we're on this weird spy meeting. There's no reason we can't get our dicks wet too. Is he the guy who gets stabbed?
No.
Okay.
He's already met that guy at this point.
Okay, that guy who gets stabbed.
This is Tiger Tanaka.
Okay. It was hard following the thread of this. This is a very and then type of situation.
That's also typical of Bond movies. What usually happens is you'll get an inciting incident and it's not immediately clear what's happening, and then Bond will get on the case and he'll pull at one thread and it'll turn out to be something that is related but not really the main plot, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's also true of the Daniel Craig ones, where it's like, oh, I have to talk to this guy. Oh, God, we're going to fight, you know? And then it's a big sequence. And then he gets, I don't know, a computer chip from the guy, or like sees a tattoo on him or something. And it's like, in next lead, and it's always a matter of like, man, I feel like there was an easier way to get the information every time, but that's Bond.
Yeah,
that is definitely classic
Then
Bond.
it wouldn't be cool spy stuff.
But it definitely makes it hard to follow sometimes.
A lot of them, yeah. I tend to, at least I did when I was a kid, because these movies are definitely confusing when you're younger and watching them. I just kind of like would just watch them. And you can just watch them as okay, and then this happens, and really all you need to understand is that they're like, well, we got to go here. You're like, okay, I guess they got to go there. So,
right.
So you can watch this and just let the movie take you.
Yeah, it's about the charisma of each scene and the action, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Bond is doing sex stuff, or Bond is killing people, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But there's never really much of a plot.
Not really. It's like a very they're all like really underwritten mysteries where there's only really like two pieces of information for Bond to discover, and he'll figure one out at like the first hour, and then he'll figure the second one out, and that'll kick off Act 3.
Right. And I realize now that watching this with the sensibilities of today, like the stunts, you're right, are good. They're good stunts.
Yeah.
But they're dated. They're dated stunts.
Dated.
It's the 60s.
Yeah, this is a over 50-year-old movie.
Yeah, so I'm not thrilled anymore. You know, I need to see James Bond get his testicles beaten, you know? That's what I need now. That's what today's audience crave.
Just shatter his testicles with a knot of rope.
That is probably the most amazing thing done in a Bond movie, because that was like everybody's going in like, yeah, it's Bond. You know, like guys who've been watching this series forever, nobody expected to watch him get his balls wailed on while he screamed.
Just get his balls pummeled.
Yeah.
That's some
gritty James Bond right there.
I guess.
And I loved it.
That, in my mind, that is one of the silliest things I've ever seen in a Bond movie.
It is. Well, it's so inappropriate.
Bond, right. It's so like, and it's Bond. They sit him down in a special nut smashing chair.
Yeah. No, it's you look at this where it's like, what is it going to be, bad guy? Are you going to dip me in your piranha pool? And he's like, no, I'm just going to wail on your balls.
No, I got this like, I got this like special chair with the bottom cut out. Yeah, we're just going to tie you down into it, and I'm just going to beat the Christ out of your balls. Yeah.
I'm going to beat your balls so hard you have to go to the hospital.
I'm going to juice your balls.
Yeah.
With this piece of rope.
What an incredible thing to happen to James Bond.
Yeah. I'm going to smash those things like tangerines.
Jesus Christ. So the bathhouse business jizzing leads him to the business where he goes to the guy who like immediately can tell he's a spy, which I found very funny.
Yeah,
because he just like X-rays him, and he's just like, kill that guy.
Yeah, there's a bit of the element. There's a fun recurring element of Bond movies that's only kind of represented in this movie, is that he really never disguises who he is. Like, he will just walk in, like the famous, Bond, James Bond, and it's because he will just walk into places and tell people his real name. He doesn't give a fuck.
Right, and it's in the Daniel Craig ones. He's a bad spy.
He's bad at being a spy, kind of.
He shouldn't be doing this anymore.
It's like this. It's funny. I was watching this with Marina, who has not. She also hasn't seen really much Bond. Definitely not any older Bond, but she watches a lot of Archer.
Right.
So she's watching the show and being like, "Oh, that's what that is." So,
right. This is almost a parody of itself.
Yes. All Archer is, or rather, Bond is Archer if the rest of the world saw Archer the same way he sees himself.
Right.
So you just take away the self-awareness from Archer and you have Bond.
Yeah, that's what it is. And that's why it's like I feel like the newer Daniel Craig ones, they do a better job at recognizing that, like, yeah, he's kind of a shitty spy or he's bold, and they do a lot of more loose cannon shit, and like
they tend to
he's a wild alcoholic. It's like people are so enamored with Sean Connery
they
that
definitely
it seems less self-aware of how bad of a spy he is.
Well, it was more tongue in cheek. Like the Daniel Craig ones go for the gritty realism, and it's like they rather than have him be like the suave James Bond, which is what he kind of tends to be, they just have Daniel Craig be the violent James Bond, which he is also. But like they tend to downplay how violent he is in these older ones. But anyway, the point I was bringing up is that when he walks into the chemical place, he does give a fake name. He says his name is Mr. Fisher, but it doesn't matter because, like you said, the guy is just immediately like, he just turns an X-ray on and sees that Bond is carrying a gun. He's like, well, this guy's a fucking spy. Like, his cover is blown instantly, regardless.
And he's not acting like, I don't know, suave and like he knows something he doesn't. Like, he's acting sketchy.
He's acting aloof.
Yeah, that's a better word for it.
Which, you could argue that it's appropriate because, like, if you really didn't have anything to hide, you would behave like you didn't have anything. You would behave like you were impatient to get to your 12 o'clock tea time or whatever.
Right, that's true.
But yeah, that's I never stop laughing at the fact that his cover in every single Bond movie is blown instantly.
Yeah, he's so bad at it.
He's terrible at it. Like he's not. He didn't even get a haircut. Like they point out, it's like, it can't be James Bond. He was killed. I saw it in the paper. I'm like, yeah, we saw the newspaper too. It was a headline right next to a giant picture of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Of that guy.
And it's at this point in the movie that you think, man, someone should put a disguise on him. Later, you're like, oh, no, don't do that. Never mind.
Like, can we talk about that? Because that's... Let's talk about that.
All right, we're nearing that. He goes to hang out with ninjas. I'm still not sure why he does that. Why he has to assume a marriage.
They're trying to get him. They're trying to get him undercover into this fishing village,
right?
And it's not really a tourist spot,
right? But he doesn't have to get married.
He doesn't have to get married. No, it's like
they're like, you must take a wife, and then they do all this stuff about how she's ugly, and it was like, by my fucking god, movie.
I think that was the character teasing him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think because he asked, like, well, what is she? Basically, Tiger tells him, he's like, well, you have to take a wife. I have an agent down in the village who's gonna masquerade as your wife. And he's like, Bond basically asks, is she hot?
Yeah, of course he does.
Is she hot? And he's like, no, she looks like a pig. And then, of course, when we see her, she's like a gorgeous actress.
Right.
So,
right.
Whom
but, they refuse to
give. They refuse to give her clothes. By the way, she fights the entire third act in like 8 inches of bikini.
Oh yeah,
it's very, very
of
funny.
Course she does.
Everybody else is like fully clad ninjas, and then she's running around. They don't even give her a gun.
I don't know why he had to do any of this. He's British Secret Service spy or whatever.
Yeah,
like he doesn't need to go to this ninja camp and train. It really felt like they were spinning their wheels at this point to get us to like that 2-hour mark.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. But again, it's if you're watching it for the action and you're trying to get, it's stuff like that where when he dipshits away in his fucking wiener jet, like helicopter or whatever, like that is, I'm sure at the time that was a very thrilling stunt moment, but like watching it now, you kind of, your eyes glaze over a little bit. So
yeah, part of the movies at this time was showing like some cool new tech. Like yes, I assume that little puddle skipper was probably relatively new.
Yeah, that's true.
There's another one where he uses a working jetpack, and it's a very similar sequence where like you watch it now and it's like, well, that's kind of lame, but like in the 60s, you're like, fuck, that guy's got a jetpack. Imagine where we'll be in 50 years. It's like, well, we kind of figured out the jetpacks were stupid and unworkable, so we stopped tinkering with those.
Okay, so let's talk about. So they change his hairstyle. They definitely put something on his face.
Hold on.
Okay.
I feel like you need to introduce this by saying Tiger looks at Bond and he's like, okay, we got to get you blended into this fishing village so that we can investigate what's happening, because we definitely know, like, they tracked a bunch of rocket fuel being sent to this fishing village in some like sparsely populated island of Japan. It's not a tourist spot. Very odd that somebody would be sending this much rocket fuel there. So he's got to get undercover because they don't know how long they're going to be there. It still doesn't make any sense why we'd have to take a wife or anything. But anyway,
it's still pretty weird.
Right. He's going there to like look around to see if they can figure out where this rocket fuel is going.
Right. And in a normal James Bond, you could do literally that. Just go there and look around. Like follow the truck of rocket fuel.
Yeah, I mean that's what Tiger does. He follows the boat. That's how they get to the island.
Well, then you just like scope out the island. Anyway, let's get to what happens.
All right. So Tiger's like, okay, you got to take a wife, and it's like you got to train to be a ninja. And I'm like, all right, dope. We're gonna teach Sean Connery to be a ninja, and he's like, you also have to become Japanese.
Yep.
Okay. So what become Japanese means is they're going to put a bowl cut wig on him.
Yep.
They're going to lengthen his eyebrows.
Yep.
And they're going to put little prosthetic pieces underneath his eyelids, or just above his eyelids, to give his eyes a more almond shape. Now, what this does...
Well, hold on.
They're also going to spray him with bronzo.
They sure are.
They're also going to spray him with bronzo. So the end result is a guy with a shitty haircut.
This is like Team America level.
This disguise...
This feels like satire.
Right.
It's... This is some Breakfast at Tiffany's shit. Well, this was shocking.
That's the thing, is this disguise is always way dumber than I remember, because I always remember it being way, way more racist. Like, I remember it being like Mickey Rooney and Breakfast at Tiffany's.
It's not that. It's more like he looks like a Vulcan.
Right,
like
exactly.
It's a bad disguise.
He doesn't look like, it's not even like when you hear him say, we're going to make you Japanese, and then like this movie is infamous for being the one where James Bond puts on a Japanese disguise, you're like bracing yourself. It's 1967. You're like, this is going to be the most racist shit ever. And it's not that. It just looks like a guy with a shitty haircut. Like, he does not even approach looking Japanese. He just looks like Sean Connery with a bad haircut and a spray tan.
My guess is at the time they were actually thinking, I don't want to use the word progressively, but I think they had enough cast and they were filming in Japan that there was probably enough people on set to speak up and go, no, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like some artist is showing up with like false teeth or something.
Oh, yes.
And they're like, you gotta stop right there. Stop right there. We're not doing that. So I think this was the movie thinking it was doing a respectful version of this. A subtle, more nuanced version of this fucking horrific bullshit.
The end result is that they give Sean Connery a 10-year-old boy's haircut.
Yeah. The end result is any room he walks into, someone's immediately going to go, what's wrong with that guy? What is that? What's happening over there? I'm sorry, stop everything. We need to get to the bottom of that guy.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
What is that?
Is he...
What is happening over there?
That is a white guy wearing a bunch of shit on him. And that is, I'm pretty sure, extremely offensive. It's Jesus fucking Christ.
That's the baffling thing, is I don't even know if it is offensive.
Oh, it's definitely offensive.
Okay, so it is
just well, I think it's always offensive to do something.
Right. Yeah,
but
okay,
like,
yeah. Anytime you're going to be like, we need to disguise this white person to look like, and then
unless you're making an observation about that, Robert Downey Jr. has gotten away with that somehow. But like that was an observation about the actor.
Yeah.
But like in this case, I mean, this is
it's so
I know what you're saying, where it's like they're not quite
it doesn't even
they're not doing any like radical weird stereotypes or anything, but it's still not cool.
Right.
It's
it would be like
not cool.
This is the best example I can think of. It would be like somebody being like, "Oh, so you're Japanese? So you really like pizza, huh?" Like it's like being wrong racist.
It's being wrong racist.
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes. Because that's the thing. He doesn't look like a caricature that you would see at the time. He doesn't look like a racist caricature.
No.
He also doesn't look Japanese.
Doesn't look Japanese. He looks like Sean Connery with a spray tan and a 10-year-old's haircut.
I think it was like when they were doing, it's like the movie fucking Cloud Atlas, where they're swapping races left and right.
Yeah.
And they go every which way, and it's sort of the point is the idea is that these are the same souls and bodies.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, and they clearly knew at the time when they were doing the makeup, yeah, we want to be respectful.
Right, this can't be a caricature.
Yeah. It's the 1960s equivalent of that, but in a movie that absolutely doesn't deserve or warrant it. Not to say that Cloud Atlas necessarily does either. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, this is a Sean Connery James Bond action film, and the movie comes to a screeching halt so they can make him look Japanese according to them. And it is a absolute disaster.
It's to the point where you could probably delete most of the controversy around this movie by just like re-recording that, just overdubbing that line so that Tiger says something like, "Oh, we should like change your appearance so that nobody recognizes you." And then it probably wouldn't even occur to you that originally the line was, "We got to make you look Japanese," because it really just looks like they changed his hair and like gave him a tan.
They definitely, the tan is like,
yeah, it's not.
I know what you're saying, which is that
it's like it's not super pronounced. It's not like even the right skin tone. So it's just like somebody, like we said, it's somebody being wrong racist.
Yeah.
It's like
it's definitely racist.
Yes, it is. It is definitely racist adjacent.
At no point do I need to make it clear that I'm not defending any aspect.
No, I'm not. I want to make
it's just so uniquely bad,
right?
In a way that's hard to completely pin down,
right? I want to make that clear too. It's that's what's like funny to me about it is like it's not even. Like you're bracing yourself for like, oh God, this is gonna, and it just doesn't even, like I don't know. It's wrong racist is the best thing. It's so
wrong
not
racist.
It's so not what you're expecting, which is like partially a relief, but then it becomes way.
A relief is the right word because you're like you're bracing for something horrible, but
right.
It's still insulting because it's still a holy shit.
Right,
moment.
but like it in the way that it's like it's very hard to explain, but it's just like it's so not any fuck. It's just the dumbest disguise. It doesn't make any sense. Like it looks more like he's trying to blend in an episode of the Jersey Shore.
Yes.
Like it's
he's doing Italian face.
He's doing Italian face
but
more than he is doing Japan face.
It's all in the same racist
right,
bucket.
It's still racist adjacent. It's just so spectacularly.
I would even say adjacent.
Right.
I would say it's in that racist filing cabinet.
It's in the same filing
It's just
cabinet.
not in the shelf that you would expect.
Right. It's not filed correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just it's so fucking spectacularly stupid.
This movie
it's like
fucking mess.
Why did you even do that?
Why any of this? Because this is what I mean is like they do that weird elaborate funeral and then later someone says I read in the paper that he died. So it's like, oh, all you really had to do is like put out do a fake funeral and put out a news story. Then he makes no attempt to disguise himself for the first half of the movie. Mm-hmm. Then when they go to this island, they're like, you have to disguise yourself. Does anybody ever see him in those scenes?
No, that's the other thing is
that disguise never does anything.
No, because he wears a big hat and is like he hunches over so nobody can see his face anyway. So it's like totally pointless to have him put on this disguise.
And it's like just spinning its wheel. It feels like a comedy bit.
Yeah.
It feels like Team America, where it's like just Jesus fucking Christ.
That's like an additional layer to it, is that they never linger on it the way that it would if it's intentionally funny. They just like slide it in there, and like you see it, you kind of see it, his disguise in full view the next day when he's like bow staff training, and it's like, wait, what? That's his disguise?
Right.
The fuck is that?
Yeah. It's so weird. And then they do the whole ninja stuff, and the ninja stuff never really comes into, like, they do this whole thing where they're like, you must be a ninja, and
that was
and it's
pointless.
like this. None of this matters. It's none of it. Make the movie 90 minutes. Make it 90 minutes.
That was probably like James Bond movies are also notorious for like chasing whatever is currently popular.
Right, and so it was probably the rise of
Kung
martial
Fu movies were
film.
probably big at the time.
So he sneaks into the volcano. Does he try to sneak into space?
Yes.
Okay. He tries to casually, like you would, like if you were like going into a nightclub, he like casually tries to sneak into space, which I thought was very funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, "Stop right there!
Hold on,
You're not an astronaut."
Yeah, it's Blofeld specifically. He's like, wait, stop that guy.
Yeah. Because he's a bad spy, because he doesn't know how to act like an astronaut. That's what happens.
No,
as
but
they say.
He does flex what is like 50% of the rule of blending in, and that is you just act like you know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You get away with a lot.
Yeah,
you get away with a lot if you just act like you know exactly what you're doing and you're supposed to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's buzzing around this place and it's dumbass people movers. It's a real, I mean, again, it's like 60s stuff, but it's so funny.
Yeah, there's one moment in particular where he finds like the jailed astronauts and he's about to break them out.
Oh, yeah.
But then he has to hide briefly because one of those eggs moves by and it makes the funniest noise, and it's just like this little egg with a guy sitting in it.
Yeah, it's like and like they're like rocking back and forth because they're really flimsy.
Yeah.
The rocks are like an episode of TNG when they're in a cave. Like it's a real flimsy fucking set.
Oh, yeah. If you noticed, in the end when the volcano base is exploding, it's done in miniature, and the little fake bodies that are on the ground, I'm not sure what they were made out of, but like the explosion is enough to like send them all bouncing into the air. So it's like all these fake people bodies bouncing up into the air while the Doom base is exploding.
So the bad guy is revealed to be Samuel Loomis.
Yep.
He's perfect. He's always perfect.
Yeah.
I love that the cat freaks out.
In that one, yeah. When they're
several times. There's a few scenes where you could tell Donald Pleasance, like actor Donald Pleasance, is like struggling with this fucking cat.
The most notable scene for me was when he shoots Osada, who's the old like Japanese businessman.
Right.
Right before he gets into his eggmobile to escape.
Is that when he has to put the cat down?
Yes.
Yeah. Because the cat's not having it.
It's losing its mind in that shot.
This is really funny to me because, again, I'm pretty sure in Austin Powers they do bits with the cat, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so funny that, like, Hollywood cats, because you think of this particular cat, the Blofeld cat, that's, like, on the top of this list of, like, movie cats, right? And they're always, whenever I think back of this type of cat, the villain petting the cat, it's always, like, a really stoic, respectable cat, like a sinister, like, yes, this is my master. Every scene, this cat is just being a fucking cat.
Yeah.
And it's just freaking out. It's clinging to him. Yeah. Like there's a scene where it's got its like paws up on its shoulder.
Yeah, it's like wrapped around him. And there's one where it's like, it looks like it's meowing, but they've mixed the sound out. So it's just like this cat face, like, meh.
Yeah. They did not get a good cat. They got a bad cat, or just an average cat.
The cat does okay until like the gunshots and the explosions start.
Yeah. Well,
and then the cat's like, mm-mm.
even when he's even when he's just regularly holding it, they have to keep cutting away to close-ups of the cat because it's clear that they like drugged the cat and got like 15 minutes of it just being pet on his lap or something, and they keep cutting to that. But yeah. Once the action starts, why would they ever think to do stunts
around
with
this
the cat? Donald Pleasance must have gotten fucking cut up. Like,
I mean, unless the cat was declawed, which is a real possibility.
Yeah. It looked like it was digging in, though.
Yeah, that cat, especially in that last where he has to drop it, that cat is losing its mind.
It is not into it. It's like, I don't know what bullshit you guys are playing here, but I am not into any of this. I would like to leave now, please.
That last... Oh,
it
man.
is so fucking funny.
It's like, it's always, it's throughout you notice it doing like little things, but in this last shot, it is just like, you can't see anything but that cat freaking out. It is so blatant in this last scene.
Right, and it really feels like a parody. Like, you could see the scene. You could see the scene where the guy's petting the cat freaks out, and him being like, okay, fine, go. Just go. Like having like a cat, like the evil villain having like a cat fight that any cat owner has. Like, you can absolutely see that happening because he's on the verge of just tossing that cat to the ground and being like, fucking, all right, fine. It is so funny.
Yeah, and
how
then
not into it that cat is. And
then he tosses the cat to he tosses the cat down and hops in his eggmobile and escapes. And then the volcano explodes. So
that cat's dead.
That cat is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, in a classic fucking cat manner. That cat ran away into its own fucking demise.
That is one dead cat.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the volcano explodes and James Bond raw dogs on a raft.
Yeah, it does. And then a submarine comes up underneath it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's the movie.
Yeah, boy, is it.
So I know that this was all building to Blofeld. And I forget how that stupid new James Bond did it, but this, going back into and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and the late introduction of him, and not having the context of the movies around it, which I feel like part of this is, it's not the movie's fault, what I'm describing. Dated action, not knowing the context. It's such an anticlimactic movie because it's one thing after another thing. None of it feels, except for the beginning scene where the astronauts get kidnapped, none of it feels like it's like being wrapped up. You know what I mean? Nothing feels set up.
Mm-hmm.
And then this villain shows up in like the last 15 minutes and is immediately thwarted and fucks off.
Yeah.
And there's something like, I don't know, is Blofeld, like, is he in the previous movies?
Like I said, he's like, you don't see his face, so he's like revealed to be behind the scenes in some of the previous movies. This is the first time you ever actually see him.
I feel like it works better that way. He's the Thanos. He's the Thanos of this.
Yeah.
But there's, I don't know. Like, my overall note of this movie was it was very anticlimactic. It wraps up very quickly. And it feels disjointed because it's just one thing after another. And since I wasn't wrapped up in the stunts because they're dated, I feel like I probably just felt that harder than audiences at the time would.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. It's not really a critique. Like, it's just my personal experience with this movie. And it's fucking funny and weird and super misogynist and racist.
Yes.
Like, the first thing he says, it's like, oh, wow, okay, so you're racist and sexist. Real double whammy. All right.
Yep.
My God.
We got to check all those boxes right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's Sean Connery, and we know who he is.
Yeah.
This is a hard... Point is that if you don't have nostalgia for it, this is a very hard watch, I think, in terms of, like cringing. There's so much cringing in this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. What's your favorite era of Bond? Like, what are your favorite Bond movies? If you had to do pre Pierce Brosnan.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is like the ones that stand out?
I don't know. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in.
Right.
Like I like the Timothy Dalton ones better as like movies because they're a little more contemporary.
Right. You said you like the slower ones.
I like the slower ones for a different reason. They're like kind of more like you just kind of like put them on and chill, and can kind of like look over because there'll be long stretches that are kind of dull in these Sean Connery ones, and then the Roger Moore ones are like Scooby-Doo wacky.
That sounds fun.
They're really, really silly.
I'm into that.
So it just depends on kind of what I'm in the mood. Like if I want to watch like a movie that I'm like, yeah, this movie's good, I'll like sit down and watch License to Kill with Timothy Dalton.
All right, sweet.
If I want to watch like a James Bond movie, I'll probably watch a Sean Connery movie. And if it's like I want to watch a stupid James Bond movie, I'll watch a Roger Moore one.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it occurs to me, and it's not just James Bond, Mission Impossible 2. A lot of the spy action genre,
they have errors.
I always watch each movie exactly once and never really care to go back to it. Like the modern Mission Impossibles, I don't think I've seen them more than maybe twice per movie.
Mm-hmm.
Same with James Bond. Like Casino Royale, I remember really liking. I don't go back and watch that.
No, I haven't. I've only seen 2 of the Daniel Craig ones, and I have not rewatched them.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, unless I'm asked to, in this case, I feel I never feel any, like, need to go back and watch them. I'm never like, ooh, I'm in the mood to put on some James Bond. So I feel like I'm the worst audience for this.
Yeah, probably.
Because this is an old film, it's dated, it's problematic, and it's not a genre that like speaks to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because at no point does the character ever feel out of control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's you have to be. I mean, that's like watching a superhero movie too. In fairness,
it is, which a lot of those don't work, but they make up for them because they have the modern humor and shit that's probably going to be dated one day.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And it has the spectacle that I'm sure will be dated. There's a very good chance people like me will go back and look at superhero films and be like, nah, not into it. And maybe it's for the same reason. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it still feels like superhero movies, they understand that there has to be like moments where, they're the underdog.
Yeah, I think it depends on how big of a fan you are of the world that they're existing in, too. It's like, do I want to keep existing in this world or not?
Right.
Like, I'm never worried for Captain America, but that's
true.
I don't like watch Captain America movies to be in suspense about whether or not he's going to come out on top. It's like,
can you?
No, you can't.
Can you imagine if Thanos bashed his balls in a chair? Captain America, like they just did that scene where he's just strapped naked to a chair.
Yes.
Thanos whipping him. That's really, I do have to, as funny as it is, that's fucking scene in James Bond, because I think they knew, and they were like, we're going to do something that's like irreversible to him. Like that's a shocking idea. If like someone cut off James Bond's ear.
Yeah.
Or something like that, that would be fucking out of control.
Yes.
Because they're committing to it. Because that's what it is. And it's the same with superhero films, is when it's like, oh no, how's he going to get out? It's always that feeling of like, yeah, we know. There's going to be more movies. There's no actual stakes.
Yeah.
Which is why like Endgame stands out so much for superheroes, because they're actually like, yeah, we're going to fucking off some fools.
Mm-hmm.
Until they find ways to bring them back.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It yeah, it is very similar to superhero. It is the same pattern. And like just movies in general, just any broad action, the John Wicks, etc. The Schwarzenegger films of the 80s or 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all the same game.
Yeah, you want to watch this character kick ass and win. However, this character does that.
Right. I think maybe it's because I don't like Bond. I just don't like him, especially this Bond.
Yeah, if you don't like him, then why the fuck would you be into watching this movie?
Yeah, he's a sexist, like a fucking creep weirdo that just refuses to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got his number.
Yeah, yeah.
That's him, all right.
Yeah. Motherfucker's got to get his balls bashed in. Oh, fuck. All right, well, I got nothing else.
I mean, we can be done. We've done about an hour.
Sure. I don't know. Anything else to say? Do you feel like there's something that needs to be said about this movie?
No, I feel like it's probably going to be another several years before I see it again. And in that amount of time, I will once again forget exactly how dumb his disguise is.
Yeah.
And then I'll watch it again and it'll all come rushing back.
Right. Yeah, like I said at the top of this, I'm pretty sure I saw this movie at some point.
Probably.
There were I remembered like the cat freaking out, little things like that. So, I don't know. I might be the same way as in a couple years I might have forgotten, and for one reason or another. I was actually scared we had already covered this film.
No, I think we've only done like one Bond movie.
Yeah, well, we did it for Best Bad Movie.
That's
Man
right,
with
yeah.
Golden Gun. That's why I remember this third nipple.
Oh, we also did Die Another Day.
We did?
Mm-hmm, yeah, Alex.
Oh, yeah, for Best Bad Movie, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I couldn't tell you anything that happens in that movie.
There's an invisible car.
Oh, it's the tsunami. That's the surfing.
Yep, windsurfing the tsunami.
Ooh, that's a bad one. What was the one after that? There was one with Halle Berry.
That's the one with Halle Berry.
You're shitting me.
Mm-mm.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the one? All right, there's one after that. I remember going to a Florida Cinemark.
Not. That's
really?
That is the last Pierce
Is
Brosnan
that the one
one.
Does that begin with the hover tanks, boats, things?
Maybe.
Oh, Christ. I think I saw that movie at a Cinemark in Florida with my mom, and I distinctly remember leaving and us having nothing to say about the movie.
Yeah, why would you? That's a movie that just passes right through you.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's You Only Live Twice. Not the worst Bond movie. I'll say that about it.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Not even
close, really.
Yeah, not even close
like
at
I've
all.
seen way worse ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. All right. Well, thanks, Harris. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, chum.
Harris did this through our Patreon, and if you're interested, you can go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. For $5 a month, you can get 2 exclusive podcasts a week. Those podcasts are Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. We're coming up on some big shit on both of those podcasts. We're in the middle of the Snyderverse
we sure
coverage.
are. Yeah. We're parts 2 of 4.
Yeah, you guys have beaten the length of the actual Snyderverse, or almost have. You will. You definitely will. You've put out about 4 hours of talking about half of the Snyderverse, and we're also coming up on the X-Files movie.
That's true, yeah.
In like a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the Blu-ray. It's here, Tom, so I'm going to dive into the behind the scenes of that shit. Let me tell you. I'm going to find out some facts about X-Files.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to sink our fangs into it.
Yeah. Anyway, check our Patreon out. We also watch movies every Friday night with our patrons. That's like tomorrow. And something tells me we might be watching a certain movie about giant monsters fighting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We're absolutely going to be watching that.
Yeah.
We also have a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed, where you can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out. Yes,
we got new stuff. We got
we sure do.
We got a couple we got that not tombs. We got this Fluke Man courtroom. Fucking check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. Like us.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah, we're sweet.
We're sweet. We're sweeties. Couple of sweeties.
Mm-hmm.
That's us.
Yeah, that sounds like us. If you said I need to find us a couple of sweeties, I would be like, that sounds like me and Dave.
Yeah, you got your sweeties right here.
Mm-hmm. We're right here,
couple
man.
Couple of sweeties coming right up. Open your mouth.